Welcome to the TOCA Backstage podcast. Join TOCA's Executive Director, Chris Wolf, in conversations with the artists and people behind the scenes of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation's performances and events.
Hi, this is Chris Wolf, Executive Director of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation. Welcome to another edition of TOCA Backstage. It is my extreme honor to have Brett Omara from the group Spinphony, which will be at the Armstrong Theater January 21st at 8 p.m. Brett, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me this morning.
I can't help but to see the beautiful background there. Where are you?
So I'm in the San Luis Valley of Colorado. We're based in Denver, but we were working up in Telluride this weekend performing, and decided to take a extra day in between an event in Aspen tonight. So this is this incredible big wide open valley. It's a little bit different than Denver for sure.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm really curious. What was the catalyst to starting this group? Because it's obviously 4 women playing string instruments. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so we all have classical backgrounds, and I formerly played in a lot of symphonies in the area. And I think when I came up with the idea about 10 years ago. I really wanted to create a group that was going to mold classical music with pop and rock and really engage with the audience more. We perform like a rock band would. The performances are very high energy and engaging, and I just wanted that audience interaction that I wasn't getting in the symphony. But I didn't want to do just a classical string quartet where we were sitting and performing, and so it's sort of a combination of both. We don't do straight covers. Everything's a mashup of a classical piece with a rock piece or a pop piece. But I guess, yeah, it's just I wanted to create a group that played the greatest melodies of all time, like dating back to, Bach and Mozart and Beethoven, but then merging those with the greatest melodies of our current time. And I think it's, there's something for all ages and everyone in the audience, which has been really cool. We reach a wide audience with that. So yeah, so that's kind of where the idea started, I guess.
Well, and it seems to me that's sort of it's an amazing concept, because it's like you said, you reach not only those who are classical oriented, but also people who might need that segue into classical via pop music to get to the classical, which
we just sneak it in there.
Well, and sometimes that's the best way to get people to do it. And also, I think I would imagine that there's a connection for young people who who may go to hear like ACDC or Journey that you do and discover, oh, hey, I also like Bach or Beethoven or the other songs you do.
Yeah, we mash up Don't Stop Believing with Beethoven's Ode to Joy from the Ninth Symphony. So it's Don't Stop Beethoven. And I think that a lot of people probably don't even realize the classical music's in there, but that doesn't matter. They're hearing it, and those are such great melodies and also timeless, like Journey is. So I think it's a really fun show in that sense, that it does expose people to things they haven't heard, but at the same time, it's recognizable of things they do know. So it's a nice blend, and it's a good time for sure.
Well, did the 4 of you have a relationship prior to starting the group, or was it formed? Did you have to do auditions, or how did you all meet?
So interesting story. The other violinist in the group and I met at an Italian opera festival, actually. Before I had to even move to Denver. We were playing, I think, Don Giovanni by Mozart all summer. So we knew each other. And I when I came up with the idea about 10 years ago, I called her up first and said, hey, do you want to be part of this group? And then, I basically found the other members. There was no auditions back then. We do have another cellist. We've had a few different cellists. It's hard to keep the cellist. So we have had auditions for them. But I basically started the group and just sort of put it together with people I knew from the freelance circuit. I had no experience with arranging music before I started. I had a degree in performance, but I hadn't, run a group or arranged music. And I sort of just learned as I go. That's what you do. And so we do all the mashups ourselves. All the music's arranged by us. And that's sort of how it began.
That's awesome. I have to ponder that it seems that there's several other groups out there, obviously not like, it seems yours is unique where it's like 4 people, because I know that there's like Black Violin and the Sons of Maestro who come, I guess they kind of do pop or R&B, but they don't really mix it with classical. So I think the melding of the two, was that the original concept, or did that just come to be?
Yeah, I did not want to leave my classical roots and I didn't want to play just straight covers. That was really important to me.
Yeah.
And that's why we needed the instrumentation of 2 violins, violin, cello, because we will sneak in little snippets of like a Beethoven string quartet, or we start Kashmir, we play Schubert, Death and the Maiden string quartet leading into it. And you have to have 2 violins, violin, cello to play those traditional classical pieces. So I think our group does have more of the classical, authenticity than some of the other groups. And it's just what we want. I love all those groups too. We've played with 2 cellos and, some of the other, I guess the piano guys are also doing the mashup thing with the classical and pop, but they are just 2 also. So yeah, it's been fun. We also do some choreography in the show. And that seems to work better with having, 4 of us up there.
Sure, yeah. And it's like you said, it's I mean, I'm a fan of going to the symphony too, but it seems like it would be nice to actually see some movement other than the conductor on stage. I mean, so I imagine choreography does add to the theatricality of it.
Yeah.
And how long has the group been together?
I think about 10 years. It's hard to keep track. Gosh, we started in about 2013. So we're coming up on 10 years. Time flies.
And I hate to ask this, but I'm just curious. How did the pandemic hit you guys? Did you, I know some people transferred to virtual stuff. Some people just, walked away for a little while.
We started a baking show. No,
really?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No.
I was going to say,
seems like everyone was just staying at home baking bread during the pandemic. No, it was actually, it was great for us because we made an album. We were supposed to make it in March, actually, when the pandemic hit. And then we had to push it, but we ended up going into the recording studio in June, which was great because we could be in isolation booths, each one of us. And we even released it. We had a very small album release. There was about 30 people there. But yeah, we did some virtual shows. Those were weird because we relied so much on the energy of the audience, and it's such an interactive show that, yeah, you're like trying to interact with a wall or a door and you feel really stupid, just, like rocking out. But so I'm glad those are over, but it was nice. We're so busy now performing. I kind of sometimes look back longingly, although I do not want another pandemic, but it was nice to have that time to write and record and slow down a little bit. We're talking about doing another album, and we're just trying to find the time to really get in the studio and do that. So
sure. And oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. So I know when people come to see the show, what is it that you hope them to walk away with? I mean, is it just the feeling of enjoyment, or is there like, how do you want your music to touch people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think ideally as musicians, we want music to bring people joy, to take them away from, their lives and the stress or whatever they're going through, just for a moment to kind of escape, be on a nice journey, just be in that moment. And I think, yeah, just have that that time with us, just to be there and kind of get taken away. And I think also a lot of people say, you know, they've never heard anything like this before. So it's very different and new. So there's a little bit of inspiration there maybe for something new and different. Maybe it gets them interested in some music they haven't heard before. So all those things, I think first and foremost, just joy, having a good time, you know, taking a break from the daily stress of life, and but also being inspired, I guess.
Well, and that you mentioned talking to you after the show. Do you get like the hardcore classical people who come to you and say, I mean, what is their typical feedback? Is it like excitement that they discovered something new, or do you ever get the pushback like, why did you ruin Beethoven with adding whatever?
I think in the 10 years, I've only gotten like one hate email of like, why are you doing this? You know, I have a lot of friends that are very strictly in the classical scene, which I used to be in, and I think they roll their eyes a little bit at, you know, some of our choreography and stuff. But ultimately, we're lucky that everyone that comes to our shows seems to have a great time. They come up, and, you know, we've had some amazing comments of our music, you know, healing people, and just everyone seems to have a great time. I think our audience is, you know, a little bit more, I don't think we have people that, you know, are serious like Mahler fans that are going to come to our show and expect something like that. I think, you know, we have an audience that's open to, you know, fusion and a lot of that's going on with classical music. I mean, even symphonies are programming more diverse, you know, repertoire in their concerts these days. So I think we're, you know, lucky in that, and we try to, you know, play our shows to the right audience. But yeah, I think hopefully no one hates it. And if they do, luckily they haven't told us. So
well, and I have to say, I don't see how they can. It's an extraordinary, entertaining, joyful evening of wonderful music. One of the things that the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation does, besides present amazing shows like yours, is we try to nurture upcoming talent. And one thing I always like to ask people when I have them on these interviews is, what words of wisdom do you give to young people who come to you saying, hey, I want to do music for a living? What do you usually respond with?
yeah, I love that. I would say expand your horizons. Like, don't just practice your Mozart concerto for 8 hours a day like I used to do. You probably are not going to be a soloist. Maybe you will, but yeah, you know, learn how to improvise, learn how to arrange music, learn how to write a contract, learn how to build a website, be an entrepreneur. You know, there's so much work for musicians out there if they are their own entrepreneurs and really go after it and can do different styles of playing. You know, I went to Manhattan School of Music, and I was an okay student. I wasn't the best because I was just out playing all the time. I was, you know, in a quartet touring with Philip Glass. I was in a trip hop band. I was playing with Kanye West. I mean, I was doing all these different styles, and I think that really set the foundation for, you know, I have a whole entertainment company too that we're, you know, at over 400 events for this year that we, you know, I produce and book. And so I think, yeah, just kind of being open to a lot of stuff, saying yes to things, even if it's out of your comfort zone. You never know where one door is going to lead you to. You know, you might say, oh, I'll do this gig. This is kind of weird. And, you know, I'm not comfortable with the style. It doesn't pay very well, but then that might lead to this. And I have so many situations like that happened in my life. So just get out there and, you know, play.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant advice. I especially like the, you know, just say yes, because it could lead to other things. The one caveat though is make sure that there's pay, because I know that people are always like, oh, it's good for exposure. No,
Yeah. No, I don't mean don't do
know.
things for free because that ruins the industry. But, you know, if something's a little bit lower budget, but you think it'll be a good experience when you're young. I mean, once you're older and established, definitely set your rates, you know, respect your talent and everything. But, you know, when you're just fresh out of college, I think a lot of musicians will sit and just wait for the right, you know, opportunity or just take auditions. And I think there's other paths that are really fulfilling
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
can do. So.
Totally agree. And I only just say that because I do know that that's sort of the go-to for a lot of a lot of people is like, oh, well, it's good experience, or it's good for your, it'll get you noticed. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't pay bills. And,
Right.
artists are often taken advantage of in that way, and I'm a big advocate for making sure artists are paid a decent wage.
Definitely. No, I mean, I totally agree with that.
So is it? I'm guessing with four of you touring nationally, internationally, that you're the best of friends.
Yeah, we all get along quite well. People think we're sisters a lot. We even kind of look similar. Like we get that almost at every other show. Like, are you sisters or are you triplets? I think we got that in Telluride last weekend. Yeah, we all get along really well. I think a band is like a relationship. There's ups and downs. One of our members had a baby, so then we had a sub for her for a while. There's been all different. We had a few cellists, and there's moments of tension, and then really crappy shows where everyone's just doesn't even want to hang out, and then we have those amazing shows where we all go out and celebrate. So yeah, it's just a journey, but yeah, we're not traveling in separate tour buses or anything.
Well, that's good to know.
We don't have a tour bus, but
yeah. So again, I just want to remind people it's January 21st at 8 p.m. at the Armstrong Theater. The show is Spinphony. Just an amazing evening of well, what's the tagline for you? Spinphony, what would you say is your elevator pitch?
oh gosh, I think I call us like a electric string quartet, mixing and mashing the greatest melodies of all time or something like that. So
Like it.
yeah, it's not a classical string, it's more like a rock show, but it's yeah.
Well,
I think it's been hard actually to define exactly what we are, because we are very unique. So it's sometimes even been hard to book the group, because people are like, well, what is this? Like, but you should come. It's going to be a great night.
yeah, well, I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely, we're spreading the word, and people are getting excited. We are selling tickets, but so I hope people get them while they last. Again, it's Spinphony, January 21st at 8 p.m. Brett, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go enjoy the outdoors. It looks beautiful out there. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to seeing you in January.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was great chatting with you.